Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 188 of Speaking from the Heart. Today we have Colleen Lindberg joining us, and she's a soul mission activator and spiritual guide. Her mission on Earth is to dismantle the conformity infrastructures holding us back so people can fully embody their potency and power. She believes that each soul's mission is a unique rhythm that is meant to ripple through the world. Her programs, teachings, and channeling abilities guide light warriors into more embodiment into their light, owning their unique tools and vibrations so they can make their massive impact in the world. This light warrior that is on the show today certainly has challenged many status quos that we've had with other guests that have talked about energy properties, spiritual awakenings, and so much more. But I think that today's conversation isn't just about having this idea of challenging who we are and changing the perspective that we have intuitively, but it's about learning how we can be better versions of ourselves by simply breaking it down into ways in which boundaries that we have created for ourselves, whether that's in our world, whether that's in our culture, whether that's in society, don't need to apply to us anymore. It doesn't mean that you break laws because we all made a contract in society to be able to respect each other and govern each other through those various rules. But there are ways in which we have put further limits on ourselves that we really discuss and break down through this interview with Colleen today. And it's really about curiosity, not killing the cat, which you'll talk a little bit about what I mean by that in this episode, and how those adventures, how we can break those stigmas to become better versions of who we are, can really help us in seeing what is truly our potential. I know that for many of us, we have heard this story over and over again on this show, but I think that every person's perspective brings a different version of why they do this, and I think you're going to enjoy why Colleen's story resonates with me and why it resonates with this show, in that we can be very comfortable and make impacts through success if we're just willing to challenge and reflect on who we are. But with that, let's go to the episode. All right, we're here with Colleen Lindberg. Colleen, thanks for sharing your heart with us today.
Rock on, Josh. I am so excited to be here with you today, and I'm already laughing because I cannot wait for our discussion and to see where it leads us.
I am excited, and I have to say, I think you were first. I haven't had anybody yet from Costa Rica, so thanks for being part of the show and allowing me to be able to have somebody on from that area of the world. From all my listeners, you have to go pull up a map because it's somewhere in Central America. So
9
with that
degrees from
said,
the equator.
yes. And I did a good job because sometimes I even forget my own geography, but that's what happens sometimes. But Colleen, I want to say that I've already let my listeners know a little bit about you before we got started. I really want to dive into the fact, though, that you live in Costa Rica, and you don't seem like you were born and raised in Costa Rica. So I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about how you kind of landed there, and if it involves your business a little bit, I would love for our listeners to hear that as well.
Yeah, well, Costa Rica was an intuitive hit. So what that means is literally I woke up one morning in the early part of 2022 and source, divinity, spirit, God, whomever you speak with said to me, hey, you're moving to Costa Rica. And I was like, okay, when am I leaving? And they're like, in the fall. I'm like, of this year? They're like, yep. I'm like, should I start selling stuff now? Yes. And literally, I have never been here. I didn't come here beforehand. I didn't know anyone. And I left Canada with 3 duffel bags and a ticket to not come back. And here we are 2 years almost later in the space of everything. And it's been a ride. Let's just say that.
What prompted you, outside of this voice that told you that you needed to go, that you felt that Costa Rica was the location that you needed to be? I mean, it could have been anywhere. It could have been somewhere in South America. It could have been over in the Far East. Why Costa Rica, do you think?
Yeah, so I knew in about 2021 that I was going south, but I thought I was going into the US to Florida or to Texas, more like Austin. And I had lived in California before in the past. So in 2018, I did this whole entire move, sold everything, moved to California, did the thing. And I knew it was coming. It was like spirit just talks through me and everything I do is intuitive, right? So literally it drops in and I listen. And that's how I lead my life. And a lot of the business that I do is about helping accelerate people in their intuition and trusting the callings that come through. So when Costa Rica dropped in, I just went, okay, like I didn't question Costa Rica. I didn't be like, that's exactly the weather I want to live in, or that's a space I want to move to. I had no reference point at all. It was literally a complete trusting of the message that was dropping into the field. And for me to just literally trust in the process of it all. Literally, I had a girlfriend of mine, like about a month and a half before I left, say, hey, can I come and stay with you for like a month when you go and just do this vacation kind of thing? And I was like, yeah. And then she started asking me all these questions like, do they have different plugs or can we drink the water? And I'm like, I don't know. I never looked up anything. I'm just moving to Costa Rica, not even sure where I'm landing yet. And just literally trusted the whole process of everything. Like,
Well, and I feel like you have that sense of adventure. I get that vibe from you. And I've had some people on recently that have talked about what it has meant to be a digital nomad or be
yeah.
free to be able to travel the world. So do you have that sense of adventure that you're willing to try new areas, new opportunities, or are you pretty set in your ways? And I highly doubt that you're the second part of that.
Definitely not set in my ways at all. Definitely
Yeah.
rebel, boundary pusher, let's go experience life. That's like my MO. I am all in for new experiences and literally living. I really believe that we're actually on this earth plane to live and to be humans. And most of us are caught up in our doing all the time because that's the conditioning. If we're in North America, it's like we do. And that's what we've been conditioned to keep doing and doing and doing. And I learned that the more I am, the more the doing aligns and it feels different and is aligned. But yeah, I'm all about pushing the boundaries. I'm all about dismantling conformity. I'm all about like, let's get out of the boxes that we're in and go play and experience life. And yeah, Costa Rica is a prime example, obviously, of that.
Yeah. And especially for a lot of people that want to go and visit or even want to check out what it is all about, Costa Rica is a great place for a lot of different activities for sure. But you said something that strikes me because I sometimes, even growing up as a kid, I didn't have that kind of ambition. I was more of a book nerd and I really enjoyed learning and had a thirst for knowledge. What led you to say that you wanted to have a sense of adventure? Was there some particular type of people? Was there a situation that occurred? I'm kind of curious, like how that fell into your lap of I wanted to have that in the first place.
Growing up, the same thing. And I'm still a bookworm. And if people actually knew me, they'd be like, you're a nerd. I'm like, I know I'm a nerd, as well as an adventurer nerd, as well as a competitive sport player, as well as I push the boundaries in my own body to go experience stuff, you know? And there was a time in my life coming into late teens, early 20s, where I just started to push energy into things, meaning people would be like, you can't do that. I'd be like, why can't we do this? Why can't we try this? Why can't we do it this way? And it was like, I was always in this curiosity of, well, they say that we can't, but what if we could find a way to? And, I was also that little girl that started her own business when I was really young, and I would go pick the apples off the neighbor's tree, make cinnamon apples, and then I'd go sell them back to the neighbor whose tree I picked the apples from. And I'd be like,
Wow. You're one of those people.
I was that kid. I was always looking for ways to create stuff in life. And I really feel that over the years, it's transitioned into exploration and pushing boundaries and seeing what we can do. And I really feel that most of my adventures in life now are because of having that attitude where I'm like, okay, we're stuck in this situation, but are we really? There's got to be a way,
That leads me into what you call yourself. And I love the title of this. I've never heard anything like it. And I'm going to start with this first one, Soul Mission Activator.
Mm.
So tell me a little bit about how you activate the soul of somebody, because you started to allude to that even with your own personal journeys. You're taking some of this and transferring it into people that you work with. Tell me
Yeah.
a little bit how that works.
Well, I really feel, and I preach this quote unquote all the time, we cannot teach unless we are, meaning we haven't integrated it. We aren't authentically it. So if I'm not living my soul's purpose and I'm not living in this space of discovering this truth within me, I cannot teach that into the world, right? So every single human that has dropped into this earth experience, I call it, has a reason why they're here. And some of us are like, well, I don't want to speak on stages or I don't want to write the books. And it's not this big grandiose thing for everybody. It could be this beautiful experience of raising your kids in a certain vibrational alignment, or it could be that you're meant to help that woman in your life get to where they need to go. Or it's like we all have a piece to the puzzle. So my job is to help someone rediscover that piece, remember what's in it, and then stand behind it potently to be able to own it, to own their truth, to step up into their power and have confidence to speak that into the world. Because most of the time, we're shit scared of actually speaking what is actually coming through us because we're too worried about what people are going to think. We're too worried about, can we actually do that? People are going to think we're crazy and all the things, because most of the time, our soul's path, especially in business, is different than other people, is a flared aspect to it, is adding some like coating on top of the chocolate sauce. And it's like, when we step up into that, sometimes we're lone rangers for a while because we haven't found our crew that actually can hold us or be with us in the space. But over time, they show up.
I don't know about sprinkling it with chocolate because I already feel a little fat as it is, but maybe I'll substitute that with a sugar-free. But
You can have coconut water.
yeah, well, yeah, you got the coconut water in Costa Rica, so you know what? I'll take that.
Yeah.
But you saying that, you seem like you've defined this group. So the second term, and we were talking about this before the show, because this really stood out to me, is that you want to guide light warriors. Literally people of light that I'm guessing are able to stand boldly for what they believe in or what they are confided into doing in their lives. So I'm assuming that's what it sounds like because of what you have described. But why don't you tell us what that really means for you when somebody wants to become a light warrior?
Yeah. So we are all light warriors. And even though we don't actually maybe see ourselves that way, but you're in this world for impact in some way, shape, or form. You, Josh, in your coaching and stuff, the work that you do is like you're illuminating a light in someone to move through their stuff, to accelerate themselves into the world, to activate themselves in the world. And every light warrior has a pathway and a laneway. It doesn't mean we're all going to war, although we do have an inner battle inside of us of shifting our stuff and stepping up into the space and being able to speak our truth and to own the dimensions to the work we need to do in the world. We've all got our shit we're working through, every single one of us. And as a light warrior, we continue to shine the light through that stuff, to step up even, to have the courage and the grit to move through. Because if we don't, then the light is dimmed inside of us when the light is being called forward for us to step up into. And it's really about a movement within our own selves of owning the fact that we have a light and we're meant to like serve the world that way.
Okay, I have to ask you this
Yeah.
because it's always something on my mind when I have people like you on the show. Because I know for me, and I've even said this to a number of guests that I've been on, that because of doing this, even this podcast myself, and my listeners know this too, that I feel a sense of growth and prosperity and commitment to what this has meant in my journey of healing from suicide, which is a big part of my story, Colleen. I know we didn't really talk about that, but that's where I've spent a lot of my days thinking of, why am I feeling like I'm worthless or a piece of shit? Because that's exactly what I even say to my therapist. And I've been saying that for over 4.5 years. What has it meant for you to work with people to help them expose that they do have that light inside? Has it changed you, in other words, to maybe make you even stronger, knowing that you have that commitment and that ability to help others? I'm kind of curious of asking that because
Yeah.
there has to be a shift in you as you work with people. And I wonder how that projects in your life.
If you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I for sure would have had a different answer for you. But I can literally reflect back into a space that happened Thursday, 5 days ago, where I got on the call with a client of mine and she said to me, I'm ready to check out. I don't want to be here any longer. And I was like, okay, this is what I said to her. Okay, great. So if you can wait till after we're done our call to do that, that would be amazing. And let's just talk through a couple things right now. And I already know that she's meant to be on this earth for a reason, or she wouldn't have been able to get into my energy. And what I mean by that is that there's like a gate of energy around me And when somebody lands in my field, they are meant to activate this next level inside of them. But it doesn't mean that it is easy for them to do, because all of a sudden, all the shit shows up in their space that they have to deal with. All the anger, resentment, fear, all the things are coming up because they're like, how can I speak this? How can I make money at this? How can I move this forward? And all the things. And we chatted through all of this and we moved through all of this. And at the end of the call, I just said to her, thank you for choosing me. And she's like, well, and I'm like, no, you need to really feel and understand this, is that I love humanity and I can't save everybody. But here's what I do know, that if you come into my field, you are meant for a reason to be here, and that this is not an option in your actual energetic field. So therefore, I can say stuff like that to her in the space of things, because I already know that she's not meant to leave this earth plane yet. She's got way too much other stuff to do. So now it's my job as her coach is to bring that out of her and to give her the tools necessary so that she can ease into the space. And it is not an easy feat some days to be able to work with this. I don't usually go into these really dark endeavor places with people, but it's showing up in my life now. And I'm like, I've been chosen for a reason to step up and to help them and to move them through. I've been given the assets and the tools necessary to do that. And my job is to keep trusting what I'm being told and to keep them in my field when I'm being told to, and to keep on them when I'm being told to. And every single time it's worked so far in the space of things. And I just keep holding that energetic capacity that I can just keep serving. And if I can be a bright light and someone's attracted to that, I'm meant to help shift in some way in their worlds.
I love hearing that, because it is, for me, every time that I meet with someone, I kind of create this same playing field too, because I want this to be something of a two-way street, even for my own clients. So I kind of love that you're like, come in my field. And it's okay if you're not completely there, but you're accepted here. And I would not be working with that if I didn't believe in you. And I have had both men and women in my business that I've shared that with. And it's sometimes awkward with women because me being a male, it's like I have to break down some barriers. I go right into it right away, be like, welcome to my world. And it's almost like it's kind of creepy when you do that, right? Like, ooh, yeah. For my listeners, Colleen just did this like, ha ha ha, I'm in your grass sort of thing. So like, I kind of get that vibe too when I create that, and I don't want to have that right out of the gate for some of my clients too. I think that we have to find a space that we intentionally know that both the client and ourselves can both be safe in being able to practice that. So I guess I'm kind of wondering then, for how you deal with this in your own life. Do you create that space with somebody else? Do you create that space for yourself? One of the things that I've always been asked is, do you use your own tools, Josh? And I have to say, yes, but sometimes no, because I'm also human and I'm bad at sometimes the discipline of it, but I'm working on it. That's part of what we do. That's why we're always knowledge thirsty people of wanting to try new tricks. So I'm wondering how you go about doing that in your own life, because obviously you don't manifest this energy all by yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I do use the tools, but just like yourself, I am also human, and I have a community of people that I lead every week in a certain portal. And I say to them all the time, I'm like, guys, I'm human. Okay. I just need you to really understand. Although I know you see me as a spiritual guide here, I am human too. Right. So I tell stories of my humanness so that I can reflect into the space with them as well. But I am on my journey, just like you are. I am at a certain level in my life that I'm desiring to lead at another level of light, and I am actively doing the work to get there. There's a specific meditation that I've been guided to do 3 times a day for the next 30 days, plus these like psalms of activating certain energies and stuff, me and the woo-woo out there dimensional stuff and work that I do. And I am some days super on it. I've never gone down to more like less than twice a day. But there's some days that I'm like challenged to get in 3 times, and I'm just owning the space that I'm in and doing everything I can to hold it there. But I like to work out. I have 2 puppies that are 9 months old. My life is a bit chaotic, plus owning a business, plus my friends like, we need to go for coffee. Plus I live in Costa Rica. You want to actually enjoy where you live too at the same time. And some days it's the balance of it all is never happening. So I just take ownership of what I can do. But a lot of the techniques that I teach and the tools and assets that I have, I use consistently all the time, because I have to be a byproduct too of the work. And if I'm not growing and shifting and changing, I can't lead people to do it either, you know?
What would you say is your biggest challenge that you're working on, and why is that a challenge for you?
Yeah, so I'm breaking through the ceiling of complexity, let's just say. I've been in a successful state of my life for a long time, and it's been comfortable. I've been doing five-figure months since 2015 in entrepreneurship, and it's easy for me to do that. And I am now at the cusp or precipice of being held in more worthy standards, we'll say, in my own world and breaking through that because I know that when I can do a certain level of income, it means I'm making a certain level of impact in the world. And it's a big thing. And my job is to step up and to step in and consistently be there all the time to show up. And some days I really suck at it. And other days I'm like really on. But it's that level of expansion to be able to hold it and understand the responsibility of being able to hold it. And I'm like, I'm right at the edge. One foot's off and I'm almost there to fly. And I could feel it building. And I'm like, okay, do not fuck this up, because I've self-sabotaged and stuff in my life. We all have. And I used to wear the t-shirts and be like, I self-sabotaged my whole life. I do not do that any longer. So I'm like right at the edge, right? And I'm like, it's right there. And now it's just about, how about we just fly? Let's just let go and see what happens.
You used the phrase responsibility to own it, and I'm wondering if you could expand upon that a little bit, because I think the level of responsibility that sometimes we have to take in our own lives, especially when it comes to owning, like you have described it as shit,
Yeah.
can be very tedious in nature. And to be honest, before even this recording, I had this conversation with a friend. I need to own up to some of even my own shit
Oh, yeah.
that I'm not doing because I want to get to a 5-figure per month income. I'm not there yet. I'm getting there. I'm but slowly building up to it because I've only been open less than 2 years, but I'm starting to make strides in that direction. So I'm wondering, when you say responsibility to own it, tell me more of what that means for you.
Yeah, this is a multifaceted answer for sure. Because when we are aligning in a certain level of income and we're showing up, let's say 100K months, let's just say that's what it is. There's a lot of people in your life that are relying on a certain energetic capacity, whether that's in how you lead in programs, how you show up in your marketing to make sure everything is like conducive to what you're actually giving value within, how you show up for your one-to-one clients. And it's like taking that energetic responsibility to be like, can I hold it? Now, I'm not in charge of their results, but I'm in charge of holding the container open so that they can step in and take the responsibility, make the change, honor who they are, step up into the space. And it creates this energetic imprint in the world. And that means that I'm showing up online in the purity of who I am. That means I'm authentic in all the ways that I show up in the world. That means the responsibility of being out there to light the lights like this podcast is doing and to be available for that and to just be who I actually really am and to actually communicate the shitstorms or communicate the things I need to take responsibility in. There was a lot of times I ran from that. So many times. I have so many stories about running from responsibility. And now it's like something shows up in my field. I'm like, swallow the pill, take the heat, have the conversations, have the real talk, and let's move through this. And I think that's some of the hardest parts about us being a human, really, in the space of things. And never mind a coach and an entrepreneur and all the stuff is like, where do you need to swallow that pill and where do you need to really step up into this?
It's almost like the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Neo was faced with the two pills that he had to take, whether it was the red or the blue, and that all meant different types of results. I feel that sometimes we are deciding each day which pill we want to take too. And is it easy or hard for you some days over others to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say every day's easy. I say it's aligned, which means that some days I show up and I'm just like, I don't want to fucking be here. I don't want to record my podcast. I don't want to make posts. I don't want to record the videos, and I honor those days at the same time that I honor the days that I'm super on and in it. And we are all human. We flow through our duality. We all have it in us. It's just a matter of, do you let it take over your life or do you allow yourself to flow with it in your life? And when we do that, some days I'm like canceling masterclasses or I'm moving program teachings because I'm like, guys, I can't hold this energy. I could show up for you in the way that I am, but it's not going to come across. So I'm going to move it to this day where I know that that feels more aligned and I'm going to honor what's coming through. And sometimes that's hard, where sometimes we've been coached to show up anyways, where maybe I do need to show up anyways, but I am not coming in a guise pretending to be something that I'm not, because who's that going to serve? Nobody, right?
That is so true because I've had even clients that have moved their appointments. I have moved appointments myself, and
Mhm.
it's all because of how we're feeling. And if we're not able to give that percentage that we are guaranteeing, especially through services, like that's one thing. It's a business transaction. I get it.
Yeah.
But there's something more to this.
Mhm.
And you said it already is that you want to create this community of essentially light warriors.
Yeah.
So when you're saying to us, this is why I want to do this, this is why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, what are you ultimately trying to show or what you're trying to achieve, Colleen? What is really your ultimate goal by doing all these things? Because you have this business. I haven't even mentioned the business and we're already like almost at the end of the time, but the business is CLC Consulting. Obviously, you even said to me that you feel that that's not even aligned with what you're doing. You're working on that. And as any good business owner, I know that you'll come back to me and be like, Josh, let's change that sometime down the road to something else because I know that this is where I'm aligned. And that's cool. You're working on yourself. That's perfect. But what is it that you really want? Because I hear all these great things. You offer all these awesome opportunities. I offer all these awesome opportunities too. I know that I need to also work on myself and work on others. What is it that you ultimately want to see in others, Colleen?
Yeah. So before I even realized my actual mission on this earth experience, I used to be part of a business networking group. So I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. So done the things, did the brick and mortar stuff, moved online before Zoom was popular and all the kind of stuff. Right. And I used to go to this networking event and we would have these papers. And on the paper, it would actually say, if I can help light your light, then you can go out and help the lights of others. But until you're lit, you can't light anyone. And at the
Hmm.
time when I channeled that, I didn't know what it meant. I was like, oh, this sounds really fun. I'm going to put it on this paper and it's going to be a thing and I'm going to step behind it. Like the young version of Colleen is really kind of fun when I go back to my YouTube channel and watch videos from like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I was like, who let me publish this? Like, but I keep them on there anyways, just to go back for entertainment value. But that's the mission and that's the impact and that's the objective. How many lights can I light up? And whether that's in content, whether they come through free offers, whether they ever do anything paid in my world, and I call it like the light wagon when I drive down the street, how can I illuminate more people by being in a light wagon? And that's the goal. That's really the objective. And I may never know all the people that I've touched in the world because I just don't need to. But I really feel like right when I'm about to pass over, I'm going to see them all and I'm going to be like, fucking rights, like it's just going to be that way. Cause I just feel that the more we are this way and the more we lead in that, the more impact we make in the world, whether that's the grocery store, the woman giving you a pedicure, the guy walking his dog down the street. It's like, what if we lived in a world that way and everybody led that way? That's where we make change.
In a way, you're trying to create a culture.
Hmm. I'm trying to create a movement, let's call it. A revolution is what I say. A light warrior revolution. Like, how do we shift humanity? And we can, whether it'll be in this whole lifetime that I'm here or the legacy will continue on. I don't know. But just every day I wake up and go, how do I light more lights today?
Have you ever considered a career in public speaking?
I can easily flow with conversation. So put me on a
Yeah.
stage anywhere,
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. That's my specialty, my bread and butter. I love working with people that have a message that they want to unlock in themselves and they don't realize that they have the quote unquote voice to
Mm.
be able to do that. And everything that you've just said the last several minutes makes a lot of sense to me as to why you want to develop that for so many people with that
Mm.
light that they have inside themselves. They don't realize sometimes they even have that light. That light might be very dim, but you want to make it shine brightly. I have to ask to kind of wrap this up. What's next? Is there something that's on the horizon for you, especially in this new year that we are in, that you want other people to know? Because there's so many opportunities, especially in beginnings, that we all can enjoy. And the energies of beginning, it can be exciting, but also daunting in itself. Is there any advice you have for any of my listeners as they start out this year, especially since they might want to be a light warrior?
Yeah, do it. That's what I'm just going to say to you. Just do it. If it comes into your field and it's on your heart, stop questioning it, stop analyzing it, stop worrying about what others are going to think, and just take action because everything will align if it's meant to align through your heart, period. But we talk ourselves out of things so often, so many times. So the quote of the day is just do it by Nike. You know, I know.
Yeah. Well, Nike did have the right idea, and they made billions of dollars off of that slogan. So, okay, really, really last serious question. Is Costa Rica coffee better than any other coffee around the world?
I don't know about any other coffee around the world, but Costa Rican coffee is a vibe. And when you buy it here from the local farms, you get fresh roasted beans. Like you could go to the farm and they will roast the beans for you right now. So it's very rare that you can do that anywhere else. Then you come home and you grind them up and you make pour over coffee, because that's a thing here. You can use coffee makers if you want, but I do pour over. It takes fucking forever to make a cup of coffee. But it
sure
is
does.
the bomb, you know, like I will not trade it for anything, you know, like I'll take it with me everywhere, you know, like, yeah.
The reason I have to end on that question in all seriousness is because the Java that we can make in our lives is really all the things that you have just talked about for the last half hour. And I love that because maybe in Costa Rica, that's where we need to be able to start those beginnings. So you might see a whole bunch of people coming into New Year afterwards wanting to check you out for that. So thanks so much for saying that, because I agree with you. Although it's a pain in the ass, pour over coffee is pretty damn good. But Colleen, we're out of time. I want to give you the last few minutes, though, to pitch your business. How can people reach out to you? How can they connect with you? How can they even follow you on social media? If you want to let everybody know how to do that, I'll give you the last few minutes to do so.
Yay. Thanks, Josh. Well, Instagram's my playground, I call it. So I know you'll have all the links in the show notes and stuff, but come and follow me there. Let me know that you listened to this episode. Tell me about something that you took from it. I'm super active in that field. And I actually, one of the main things I love is to know somebody listened to the podcast and took something from it. So I'm going to encourage everyone to do that. I have offers that go through my field consistently all the time, from business, structured spiritual business offers to activating spiritual gifts. So if something hit here today and you're like, hey, I just felt called to contact you, just send me a message. And that's the deal. Like, really, that's kind of how I work.
Like you said, and I will say again, I'll put all that in the episode notes too, if you want to go check out all those links and also check out what Colleen's offering. But I have to say, not only do you give me a jolt when it comes to all these things that you're doing, you see what I did there?
Yeah.
But but I have to say, you have a fun spirit. I can sense that, and even sensed it before we started. And it helps to know that there are people that want to activate that light warrior spirit that we have inside of ourselves. It's just a matter of just finding that place that we need to be and not being pushed away from all the other obscurities, all the different demands of our life, and being able to create all that. So for being able to do that and creating that space and having people land in your field, Colleen, thanks for speaking from the heart with us today. Really appreciate your time with us. And I do hope that you continue your journey of helping others. It sounds like an amazing journey and has so much yet to give. So thank you for your time with this.
Oh, Josh, thank you for the space and for holding the space for all of us, all the listeners out there and all of us coming in as guests. This is a powerful place to be. So just grateful to be connected.
I want to thank Colleen again for being part of the show and sharing a little bit of her energy, especially as it resonates to all of us being able to become better versions of who we are. That energy, how we move forward, that potential possibility, those three key phrases and words, regardless of where you might stand in your life, can have so many impacts, so many ways in which we're able to move forward and challenge the status quo. That's always been our mission on this show, to change that perspective, to help us see what is bigger and brighter out there. What is bigger and brighter, especially as we expand ourselves outside of our comfort zone. Having those aspects of our life, that calling, if you will, means that we have to push boundaries aside that we have manufactured. And it isn't because of somebody else's perspective. It could be. And we've had plenty of people on the show, like Colleen, that have discussed what that looks like. But it's about finding areas and perspectives that I have learned throughout even my own life, that I give people through my coaching business those opportunities to break the boundaries, their secret love life that they have, if you will, so that they're able to push beyond that relationship into a brand new relationship of success. Success is defined in many different ways, and it doesn't mean that success for one person will meet the requirements for, say, another person. That's why there's a variety of different career paths, a lot of ways in which we're able to interact with the world that do create not only manifestations of these versions of who we are, but also what the idea of what success is. But I have to say, when we discuss the fact that curiosity does not kill the cat, we have to learn that life and the adventures that we go on do have those ebbs and flows. Those valleys, those peaks that we've talked about on numerous occasions, even on Speaking from the Heart, have not been just conversations that have been empty-handed. They haven't been without purpose. Because we could get shit scared, especially using the words that Colleen mentioned, and have those impacts from those shit scare moments so that we are able to manipulate the way in which we're moving towards the future. That shit scared moment for me was when I tried to end my life almost 5 years ago. It was also the moment in which I opened this business. It was also the time I stood on a stage acting as Christopher Columbus's first mate in my 5th grade play. We all have different reasons as to why, and I have no idea where Christopher Columbus came from, but I did participate in that kind of play growing up. But I think that's what we have to learn, is that we all have different moments. Those moments of quote-unquote enjoyment, which really are those shit-scared moments, impact us in ways in which we're able to become not just the person that we are, but they also set artificial boundaries. Those artificial boundaries can be very toxic. They can hold us back. So we have to be able to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. And sometimes that is a very hard exercise without having some outward perspective coming in. We can get into those types of energies. We can learn why those energies exist and expand ourselves into vast beings. Those light warriors, as Colleen refers to them as. We all have those capabilities of becoming better. We've heard those in spiritual contexts. Stories of not only persistence, but also overcoming. But loving humanity has been something that has been a common theme also in many of my guests that have shared the reasons as to why they do what they do. But the biggest thing is to learn how we can reflect on those moments and get the desire that we want to have out of them, where we need to go, that is. But that means that we have to take time to ponder what life is supposed to be like. Colleen really shared a lot about what that looked like, especially with what she had to dismantle to get to her potency and power, as she puts it, into the ways in which she's able to function today. But I have to say, the biggest thing that stood out to me today is that when it was talked about that success can be very comfortable as a whole if we're able to make those impacts. Can you hold a container that will have that energetic imprint, being able to carry that along with you to align with that bigger mission of what it means to go through life? That duality of what success and failure is means that they each have those advantages and disadvantages, but to be the light that lights others, quantity or quality, really depends on what you're wanting to do to change that perspective. In other words, are you willing to just do it? Are you willing to just take the risk and see what actually happens? And I have to say that there are many people out there today, maybe even yourself included, that is listening to this, that might not want to do that. It might be very uncomfortable. It means that that container that you're trying to carry everything in includes all the other shit moments that have happened in your life, and you're not feeling very particularly brave to share what those things are. That means that you have to step outside your comfort zone, realize that success can be very comfortable when you're able to actually challenge yourself and make those wonderful impacts on others. I think the biggest moment in my life when I learned that those impacts could make a big difference for me was when I was a kid. Knowing that I had a different way of thinking about things, but I didn't quite know what the word was that was associated with. It meant that I was thinking differently. It was meaning that I actually saw things that other people didn't see. But at the trade-off of feeling very uncomfortable in my own skin, sometimes even being overweight for that matter, and being teased continuously from a number of different people, and up to the point that even in college, I didn't have a great relationship with women. It was a very hard moment for me to be able to say that I could be comfortable with my own energy, the way in which I express myself, and be able to become better, be able to find my calling. It took me a very long time to get to this moment, but it also means that we have to find areas of our life to find those opportunities, and we have to go through some of those ebbs and flows. We have to go through some of the challenges that we have. We have to also explore what it means to get to that other side. And that other side, especially for some people that are trying to figure out what it is, their position in this world, and being curious about it, means that they have to take a risk. And taking a risk, ladies and gentlemen, especially being a light warrior, as Colleen puts it, is something that we, especially as human beings, don't really want to do. Being able to be a guiding light, being able to put yourself out there to create that infrastructure to help others, means that you have to build it for yourself first. Building that life isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do. It means that we have to take risks, and Colleen certainly took a number of them, even myself included, had to take those risks and learn the hard lessons along the way. Even when we're shit scared in those moments, we have to feel through all the different things that we might be taking personally, but actually are trying to help us become better versions of who we are. Whether that's in our relationships, whether we're trying to work on ourselves with people that are helping us become better, or just trying to mend some of the broken relationships that we have, can be a very logical first step, but it comes even more to what might be some of those past relationships that you have once lived. Loving humanity, especially when it makes mistakes, is something that we have a hard time doing today. It means that we have to forgive and forget. But we never seem to let go of those things, and we have to keep on reflecting on why that is such a big deal for us. It can be very uncomfortable for us to go through life knowing that we have all these struggles, that we have to put this container together of this imprint that we want to share. But we have to align that energy and align that purpose with the light of others, that quantity or quality that we decide to surround ourselves with. And that decision comes solely on us to make whether we want to do that today, tomorrow, or never. I learned the hard way that I thought I could do this all by myself, and I never decided that I wanted to seek out help. That help really could have made a big difference earlier in my life, and it would have not wasted all the time that I had put into it previously if I was able to see that I was capable and that I was able to be more accepting of what other people had to say. Sometimes just doing it can be the biggest step forward in our lives. It means that we have to challenge not just what it means to step outside of that job that we hate and find something new, or leave that person that might have been treating us very bad and not taking care of their responsibilities, their end of the bargain, or even getting rid of opportunities in business, not doing much of anything, and not helping us get to our ultimate goals. It means that we have to be ever exploring. We have to put on our safari hat and have our machete in hand and cut through the branches, the trees for that matter, so that we can find that pillar of success, that energy, if you will, that we really want to attune to. And some people are absolutely risk averse when it comes to that. And I can understand why, because we've been conditioned to do that. The next time that you feel that you're being held back from something that has been holding you back for a very long time, think about the energy that's surrounding it. Think about what you've been told. Is it really the truth? Is it something that we can think a little bit differently about so that we are able to become better, that we're able to really explore more deeply of what it means to really be attuned and be more embodied with our own light so that that light can share to the whole entire world? That impact, that vibration, that ability for us to be a guide for others means that we have to first start working on ourselves. And if you're not quite sure where to start, attune yourself to all the other people that are around you, even those that are willing to help, those that provide services for you to help become better, so that you're able to be more focused, more directive, and be more authoritative as to where you want to head, not just in your future, but where you are today with a clearer purpose. We are all entitled to that. And I know that you have what it takes to challenge that status quo. Because you, my fellow light warrior, will certainly make ripples in this world, shining your awesome light. Thanks for listening to episode number 188 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.